Chapter 12. In the stark utilitarian classroom, the atmosphere is tense as we trainees gather for the briefing. The air is thick with a mix of anticipation and unease. Rows of trainees sit rigidly, their attention fixed on Lieutenant Vega, who stands at the front, her expression stern and authoritative. Lieutenant Vega begins to outline the new directives from the Consortium. Her words are crisp, delivered with a militaristic precision that leaves no room for doubt or questioning. You will be part of the initial phase to implement the Personal Rating System, shortened PRS, she announces. As part of the Personal Rating System initiative, you will undergo a monitored personality test to establish your initial PRS score. The room falls into a deeper silence, the gravity of her words settling heavily upon us. As she explains the Personal Rating System and the requirement to wear an ID device, I sense a subtle shift in the room's atmosphere. These devices will do more than just track our actions. They will update our score based on our daily activities. This rating will play a pivotal role in shaping our future within the framework of the Consortium. Some trainees like Clara nod in agreement, their faces reflecting a sense of duty and pride in being chosen for this pilot program. In the classroom, there's a palpable sense of excitement among many of the trainees. They buzz with energy, their conversations a mixture of enthusiasm and pride at being selected for the pilot program. There's a sense of being at the forefront of something significant, a pioneering spirit that invigorates them. As Lieutenant Vega concludes the briefing, clusters of trainees gather, animatedly discussing the implications of the PRS. This could really change things for the better, one trainee says, his voice tinged with optimism. Imagine being recognized for your contributions to society, not just your background or connections, another adds, her eyes alight with the possibilities. Clara, too, is visibly excited, her demeanor reflecting her belief in the potential of the PRS to reward merit and hard work. We're part of something important, something that can make a real difference, she says with conviction, her enthusiasm infectious among her peers. However, for me, standing slightly apart from these clusters, the mood is decidedly mixed. I can't shake off the unease that comes with the thought of being constantly monitored and evaluated. While others see opportunity and recognition, I see the shadow of surveillance and control looming larger. I stand at the doorway of the briefing room, my mind a whirlwind of concerns. The weight of Lieutenant Vega's words about the PRS and the upcoming monitored personality test presses heavily on me. I steal a glance at Jack, who's making his way out with that characteristic indifference plastered on his face. But now, knowing what I know about him, I can't help but wonder what's going on behind those customary unflappable demeanors. How will he manage to conceal his true feelings about the Consortium in a test designed to probe the depths of our personalities? And then there's me. Some weeks ago, my views on the Consortium were clear-cut, molded by a life of conformity and belief in the system. But after my glimpse into the underground, my once black-and-white world is now a myriad of grays. How do I sit through this test and not reveal the storm of doubts brewing inside me? The idea of being monitored, analyzed, and judged based on my innermost thoughts sends a shiver down my spine. It's like walking a tightrope with the Consortium on one side and my newly awakened doubts on the other. As I walk through the corridors of the academy, each step feels heavier than the last. The once familiar walls now seem to echo with a silent warning. This test is more than an assessment of my personality. It's a test of my ability to hide the truth, to protect myself and perhaps even Jack. My thoughts keep returning to him. How much of a risk is he to both of us in this delicate game we're entangled in? The need to understand more about him, about his intentions and his past, grows stronger with each passing moment. I take a deep breath, trying to calm the tumultuous thoughts swirling in my head. The upcoming test isn't just about answering questions. It's about navigating the dangerous waters of a society where every word, every thought could have far-reaching implications. As I walk on, the resolve strengthens within me. I need to be cautious. I'm a terrible liar. Today is the day of the obstacle course test, the parcours. Before me lies a daunting array of challenges, each a severe trial designed to test the boundaries of physical endurance. I stand at the starting line, heart pounding, muscles tensed, Despite the lingering pain from my recent injury, my determination to prove my worth remains unwavering. The air is thick with anticipation, the ground vibrating with the footsteps of other trainees. I launch myself into the course, scaling walls that seem to reach the sky, crawling through mud that clings like hands trying to drag me back. My breath comes in ragged gasps, but I push on, driven by an inner fire. I leap over hurdles, feeling the burn in every muscle, each obstacle a reminder of the hard training sessions with Jack. His voice echoes in my head, urging me to be faster, stronger, relentless. The parkour's, already a grueling test of endurance, brings me to its final challenge, the climbing wall. It stands towering, its surface slick and daunting. My hands, already trembling from exertion, feel slick with moisture. But I know I will not give up. As I approach the wall, every fiber in my body screams in protest. My muscles ache, my breath is short, but the determination within me refuses to wane. I place my hands on the cold surface, trying to find a firm grip. The climb is torturous. Each handhold feels like a battle, my fingers struggling to maintain their grip. Several times my hands slip, scraping against the texture of the wall. I can hear Clara's voice, distant but unwavering, cheering me on. Her encouragement is a beacon, guiding me through the haze of fatigue that threatens to cloud my focus. With every inch I climb, the top seems ever distant, an elusive goal just out of reach. Finally, with a surge of whatever strength I have left, I make a desperate lunge for the top. My hand slams against the arrival button, a triumphant smack that echoes my heart's racing beats. For a moment, I hang there, suspended in time, before I allow myself to slide down the rope, a controlled descent back to solid ground. As my feet touch the ground, my legs nearly buckle under me. I'm drenched in sweat, my hands raw and aching, but the sense of achievement is undeniable. I overcame, pushed, and conquered the wall that symbolized the barriers I never thought I could breach. Clara rushes over, her face bright with pride. "You were incredible," she exclaims, her words a balm to my aching body. "You've gotten so much stronger." Her acknowledgement of my progress is a moment of triumph, a testament to the grueling hours of training and the resilience I've built. As I stand there, catching my breath, a wave of confidence washes over me. The final remaining challenge, the hacking test, is where I feel most at home. It's a realm where I can let my skills truly shine, a space where I have always felt a sense of control and mastery. I try to shove aside the looming apprehensions about the initial PRS test, but like persistent shadows, they hang over me, a nagging reminder of the uncertainty that awaits. The next day arrives with a new challenge, one I'll enjoy, the hacking test. The room is set up with precision, each trainee assigned to a terminal under the watchful gaze of Commander Hask. His presence adds intensity to the atmosphere, his sharp eyes scanning each of us as we prepare to dive into the cyber realm. I can feel the collective concentration in the air, a silent intensity that fills the room. As the test begins, I dive into the digital world. My fingers fly across the keyboard, my mind razor sharp, focused solely on the task at hand. The screen in front of me is a whirlwind of code and data, a labyrinthine network that I must navigate and conquer. The first challenge is a sophisticated firewall, a virtual barrier designed to test our ingenuity and skill. I analyze its structure, identifying patterns and weaknesses. My approach is methodical, a dance between probing and retreating, as I look for the key to breach its defenses. With a combination of algorithmic manipulation and creative coding, I find a small backdoor, an overlooked vulnerability. Exploiting it, I slip through the firewall, bypassing its complex layers of security. As I initiate the next phase of our test, a simulated breach into a fortified server, I mentally prepare for the intricate challenge ahead. This server is a digital fortress, its files shielded behind layers of AES-256 encryption. I'm not just up against tough encryption. The server's network is woven with an intricate array of IDS, intrusion detection systems, each acting like a silent, watchful sentinel ready to sound the alarm at the slightest anomaly. Navigating this environment demands more than just technical skill. It's a chess game requiring foresight and strategy. I start by deploying a custom script I've developed, designed to stealthily map the network topology without triggering the IDS. Success, when it arrives, is both quiet and triumphant. The final barrier falls away as my decryption algorithm cracks the last layer of encryption, revealing the protected files in their unmasked glory. I complete the test with time to spare. Looking around, I see my fellow trainees still immersed in their challenges. My gaze finds Jack. He's focused, his brow furrowed in concentration, but there's no sign of frustration on his face. He's doing well. A sense of pride swells within me. Despite our complicated dynamics, I've played a part in his success. Then I glance over at Clara, who also looks pleased with herself. I feel relieved. But as I sit there watching the others, my thoughts inevitably drift to the looming initial PRS test. The uncertainty of it gnaws at me. It's not just about technical skills or physical prowess, it's a dive into my psyche, an analysis of my personality and beliefs. How will my recent experiences, my growing doubts about the Consortium, and my complex feelings towards Jack reflect in the test results? It's a question that fills me with apprehension. A decent score isn't just a matter of pride, it's a necessity. Scoring low could flag me as a sympathizer, a suspect in their eyes. That would shatter any hopes of working on important scientific projects in the future. Worse yet, it could cast a shadow of doubt over my parents. The very thought that they might suffer consequences because of me is terrifying. I need to talk to someone, to unload these fears. But who? Clara is out of the question. She wouldn't understand the complexity of my situation, and I can't risk putting her in a difficult position. The weight of this predicament feels crushing, and a profound sense of isolation washes over me. In this sea of solitude, there's only one person who might grasp the gravity of what I'm facing. One person who's navigating these treacherous waters alongside me. That evening, after a day filled with silent questions and unspoken tension, I find myself standing hesitantly outside Jack's door. My heart races as I knock, the sound echoing in the stark corridor. As the door swings open, Jack stands before me, dressed casually in a simple gray t-shirt that clings to the contours of his muscular frame, and black sweatpants. His hair is slightly tousled, as if he's been running his hands through it. There's a faint shadow of stubble lining his jaw, giving him a rugged, unrefined edge. I enter. The air is tinged with a subtle yet distinct scent, a hint of citrus and an underlying note of something woody. It's a unique scent that has become familiar to me, both alluring and complex, lending a personal touch to this otherwise impersonal space. Jack's room, just above mine, is devoid of personal effects, intensifying the transitory nature of our situation. It's as if he's always ready to leave, to vanish into thin air without a trace. The absence of decoration, the lack of photos or mementos, paints a portrait of someone who either has little to remember or too much he wants to forget. Standing there in his personal space, I feel a sudden rush of nervous energy. This room, his sanctuary, feels intensely private, and the fact that he allows me in feels significant. "You did well today," I start, my words deliberate, trying to pierce through his usual guardedness. Jack's eyes narrow slightly, a hint of suspicion lurking in their depths. "Thanks to your tutoring," he replies, his tone measured, but there's an unspoken question in his gaze. My heart pounds in my chest, mirroring the turmoil within. Curiosity, fear, and an undeniable draw towards the man who stands before me. "I need to talk to you about something that's bothering me." My voice is just a whisper, barely a tremor in the air, but Jack nods in response. We are enclosed in a cramped, almost intimate space, a stark contrast to the vast expanses of the training grounds, the usual stages of our encounters. I take a moment to gather my thoughts, watching Jack closely. He leans against the wall, his arms crossed, a physical barrier that matches his emotional one. I can sense his wariness, the subtle tightening of his muscles as if preparing for a confrontation. I gather the courage to confront him about his past. The room, usually a place of rest and solitude, now feels like an arena of hidden truths and unspoken stories. "Jack, I heard something about your parents. That they were part of the resistance." I begin cautiously, my gaze locked with his. His reaction is immediate, a flicker of something crossing his features before his expression smooths into impassivity. "You're digging into my past now?" His voice is even, but there's an undercurrent of something more, a mix of caution and a hint of vulnerability that he quickly masks. I press on. I need to understand. Were they really part of it? Does that mean you are too? Jack pushes off from the wall, pacing a few steps before turning back to face me. His eyes are an unreadable storm, dark and deep. Eva, my biological parents' past, what they did or didn't do. It's not who I'm, he says firmly, though I detect a trace of defensiveness in his tone. Jack pauses, looking at me intently. Eva, some things are part of my life that I can't change, but that doesn't define my choices now. His words are carefully measured, but they do little to quell the turmoil of questions inside me. I find the courage to voice the question that's been haunting me. Why were you moved to Europe? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper, betraying my internal conflict about delving deeper into his past. He pauses, his gaze drifting away, as if he's trying to distance himself from me. The Consortium decided my family environment wasn't suitable for my upbringing, he says vaguely, his tone carefully neutral. And your adoptive parents, were they more appropriate? I ask tentatively, the last word lingers bitterly on my tongue. His response is definitive, a sharp edge to his voice. I don't want to talk about them, Eva. Fuck. I pushed him too far. He moves abruptly to pour us both a drink, the liquid amber in color, its scent sharp and intoxicating. As he hands me the glass, his fingers brush against mine, a fleeting but deliberate touch. Ugh, he's trying to distract me, and it's working too well. The contact sends a shiver down my spine, unexpected and electric. I clutch the glass a little tighter, trying to focus on the cold of the drink and not on the lingering sensation of his touch. The drink burns as it goes down, the sensation spreading through my chest, bolstering my courage. He leans against the edge of the small table, his eyes piercing as they study me. What's going on with you? He asks, his voice low, hinting at a concern that seems out of character for him. I take another sip, the alcohol lending me a false sense of bravery. I'm worried about the PRS test, I confess, my voice unsteady. The admission feels like a weight lifted, yet the uncertainty lingers, my fears about the test and what it could reveal about me still very much alive. Jack's expression doesn't change, but there's a shift in his stance, a subtle sign of his attentiveness. And why is that? He probes, his tone suggesting he's aware there's more to my worries than just the test itself. The atmosphere in Jack's room is charged with an emotional intensity as I voice my concerns. For the same reason you also should be, I say, my voice carrying a mixture of apprehension and challenge. They will be able to see if we lie. I'm a terrible liar. His reaction is a barely perceptible intake of breath, a flicker of concern briefly crossing his face. He steps closer, his imposing figure invading my personal space. His closeness is both unsettling and magnetic, an intoxicating mix of danger and allure. His gaze locks onto mine, his expression intense, as if he's trying to peer into the depths of my soul. My heart quickens, a mix of fear and something else, an inexplicable attraction to him. I feel vulnerable, exposed under his scrutiny, yet a part of me, as irrational as it is thrilling, relishes the sensation. This closeness is both intimidating and exhilarating. His warm, steady breath grazes my skin, sending a shiver down my spine. I refuse to back down. My resolve hardens, forming a barrier against the intense energy emanating from Jack. His proximity is a challenge, a test of my own will. His voice softens, and his thumb gently brushes against my lips. The touch, both unexpected and intimate, makes me shiver. They can only see what you choose to show them. His voice low and steady. You just need to have a cover story, something to focus on during the test, Jack says, his voice calm and measured. Imagine you're reading a book, one that you've created in your mind with all the right answers. Learn that book by heart. A chill runs through me at the gentle brush of his thumb. His eyes, achingly close, are captivating. Dark, deep pools that seem to draw me in, inviting me to lose myself in their depths. His words, carefully measured and deliberate, echo through my mind, which is sharply focused on his every syllable. Could his suggestion really be viable? The concept seems almost disarmingly straightforward, yet the assuredness in his voice carries the weight of undeniable experience. A book, I find myself repeating, my tone a blend of skepticism and burgeoning curiosity. Yes, he says, maintaining a firm and steady gaze. Craft a story that fits what they're looking to hear, something plausible but innocuous. Keep it close to your own history. You'll be the main character in this tale. As they question you, just mentally go over parts of this story. It's like feeding them the answers they anticipate, all the while keeping your real thoughts concealed. I nod, affirming Jack's suggestion. Reading a fiction book. The questions are about this book. I can manage that. It's a simple yet effective strategy. By creating an imaginary narrative in my mind, I can focus on that instead of the real answers to the questions they'll pose. It's a way to mask my true thoughts, to keep them hidden behind a veil of fabricated storytelling. Squinting my eyes, the faint glimmer of hope and a sense of control strengthens within me. My gaze drifts to his mouth, so close and inviting. The sudden urge to kiss him surges up, an impulse I know is a very bad idea. Really terrible? I mean, that could lead at worst to an embarrassing situation. My mind races, my heart pounds, and suddenly the world around me seems to fade away. Sensing my fleeting intention, he steps back with a soft chuckle, breaking the tension. "Go sleep, Eva," he advises, his voice light. The moment passes, leaving a mix of relief and frustration in its wake. Taking a deep breath, I nod silently to myself. It's time to focus, to prepare for what's ahead. The PRS test looms large, a hurdle I must clear with both my mind and emotions in check. With one last glance at that intoxicating figure, I walk away. With one last glance at that intoxicating figure, I walk away. With one last glance at that intoxicating figure, I walk away. A newfound confidence fills me, and my entire being is ready to face the challenges that tomorrow will bring. Standing in the waiting room for the PRS test, I find myself enveloped in a tense silence, the kind that hangs heavy in the air like a shroud. It's just past 9 a.m., and the room, situated adjacent to the infirmary, feels claustrophobic. Around me, other trainees, faces etched with anxiety, wait their turn. There's no sign of Jack, and I know Clara has her test scheduled for the afternoon. I had spent last night immersed in a world of my own creation, crafting and reciting a story, an alternate reality that has been a part of me since my earliest memories, predating Jack's entrance into my life. It's a story spun from the lessons of my parents and friends, a narrative as familiar to me as the rhythm of my own heart. Yet, when I revisit this book, where I am both the author and the main character, I am haunted by the intensity of that dark gaze, Jack's piercing eyes. It's as if I'm reading through his eyes, seeing my words, my world. This upcoming test is more than just an assessment of my knowledge. It's a testament to how deeply I know this story, this part of myself. As I stand there amidst the coldness of the waiting room, I realize this test is not just about reciting a tale. It's about proving the authenticity of a life I've narratively constructed, a life where every word and emotion must now withstand the scrutiny of those who seek to unravel it. My name echoes in the air, and my feet, as if driven by their own will, carry me towards the testing room. The eyes of the other recruits latch onto my figure, stripping me with their observant gaze. The room where I take the test is stark and clinical, a sharp contrast to the vivid narrative I've crafted in my mind. In the dimly lit testing room, everything feels surreal. The walls are a muted gray, the only furniture a lone chair in the center. Settling into the chair, I can feel the weight of the atmosphere around me, dense with a mix of expectation and ominous foreboding. In front of me, a window opens to an adjacent observation room. Through it, I can just make out the silhouettes of 4 figures seated in judgment. They are mere shadows, their faces obscured by the room's dimness, leaving their expressions a mystery. A medical assistant, their features indistinct and slightly out of focus at the edges, moves towards me with a syringe. The liquid inside glows a luminous blue. I feel a sharp pinch at the base of my neck as the needle pierces my skin. She affixes a tiny device to my right index finger, a transmitter designed to monitor my body reactions. Minutes tick by and the world around me starts to shift. The lines of the room soften, the gray walls seem to pulsate gently. A fuzziness creeps into my mind, clouding my thoughts. No, I must focus. This isn't just a room. It's the first chapter of the story I've ingrained in my mind. The questions begin, their words floating through the haze. "Tell us about your parents," a disembodied voice asks. In my mind's eye, I see the characters from my story, their lives unfolding as I've imagined them. I speak about them, my words weaving the narrative I've rehearsed. They are scientists. I've always admired their dedication to their work, their unwavering commitment to the pursuit of knowledge. I paint a picture of a simple, content life, one where my parents, in their roles as scientists, provided everything we needed. We never lacked for anything, I continue, the details of my story flowing effortlessly. They've always been my role models, and I've aspired to make them proud through my own achievements. In this blurred state between reality and the concocted tale, I feel a swell of genuine gratitude. My parents, though just characters in this narrative, represent the stability and love I've known. They've given me a life full of opportunities, I add, and for that, I'm eternally grateful. As the test progresses, the line between my real life and the fabricated one blurs. I'm not just recounting a story, I'm living it, breathing it. The characters become more vivid, their emotions and aspirations tangibly real in the foggy room. What are your life goals? The voice probes. I delve deeper into my story, describing ambitions and dreams that align with the world I've created in my mind. It feels like walking a tightrope, balancing between reality and the fiction I must portray. My life goals, I articulate carefully, are twofold. Primarily, I aim to contribute to society through scientific discovery inspired by my parents' legacy in the field of science. I let a moment of sincere admiration for scientific pursuits seep into my voice. Their passion for discovery and innovation has always motivated me, I explain. I want to be part of that journey, to push the boundaries of what we know and can achieve. Then, I transition to my second goal, aligning it with the ideals of order and safety. But it's not just about science, I continue, my tone shifting to one of conviction. I also aspire to play a role in maintaining the order and safety that I've been fortunate to experience in my life. I speak of a harmonious society, one where scientific progress and societal stability coexist. A world where we can pursue knowledge and innovation while ensuring that everyone lives in a safe and orderly environment. That's the future I want to help build. What are you grateful for? The question seems to echo in the fuzzy room. My response flows naturally, a gratitude born from the experiences. I'm grateful for the society I live in, I begin, my voice steady and convincing. The Consortium's focus on progress and fostering an organized society has provided a stable environment for me and many others. I elaborate on this sentiment, weaving in elements of the story I've crafted. Their policies have created opportunities for growth and development, ensuring that each individual can contribute to the greater good in their own way. My words echo the values the Consortium promotes, reflecting the perspective I've been taught and heard in public discourses. I continue, I'm thankful for the peace and order that prevails in our society. It's a testament to the effective governance and foresight of the Consortium. Their efforts in maintaining stability and encouraging advancements in various fields have made a significant impact on our daily lives. The test concludes, I stand, shaky but determined. The PRS test, a challenge I dreaded, is now behind me. But the lingering effects of the blue liquid and the immersion in my fabricated world leave me feeling unstable. No, it's not just a feeling. My legs are trembling and barely holding me up. Back in the solitude of my room, after groping along the smooth walls of the endless corridors, I sit on the edge of my bed. My thoughts race. A tumultuous storm raging within me. Clara, my best friend, the one person I've shared everything with since I'm here, is now the one person I can't confide in. How can I? She wouldn't understand the whirlwind of doubts and fears that have begun to consume me about the Consortium, about everything I once believed in. The risk of exposing my growing skepticism is too great. I can't drag her into this, into the chaos that's beginning to engulf my life. Then there's Jack. Jack, who's always there but somehow just out of reach. I think back to that moment in his room, the tension between us palpable. I had yearned for him to close the distance, to bridge the gap between us, to make me forget the uncertainty gnawing at me with his lips on mine. I had hoped his touch would dispel the doubts accumulating within me, that it would calm the storm raging in my heart. But he didn't. He remained distant, reserved, leaving me alone with my desires and frustrations. And now I lie here, in the silence of my room, torturing myself with images of him. I wonder what his mouth would taste like. Is it soft? Or does it have the power to intoxicate me? I wonder what his hands would feel like on my skin if they could make me forget the pain that consumes me. I drown in these fantasies, seeking an illusory comfort, an escape from the reality that torments me. It's irrational, this attraction I feel towards him. He is nothing like the hero I dreamt of, the Prince Charming of my fairy tales, a paragon of moral virtues, gentleness, and kindness. He is the embodiment of my nightmares, dark and unpredictable. I know I should resist, that I should turn away from him, but I can't. I'm like hypnotized, drawn to his dark magnetism, unable to fight against this force that pulls me towards him, like a moth to a flame. I roll over, pressing my face into the pillow, trying to muffle the frustration building inside me. Why can't I shake these feelings? I've never felt so alone before. I've always been logical, always in control of my emotions. But around Jack, all that seems to crumble. He's a riddle wrapped in a mystery, and every time I think I'm close to solving him, he slips away, leaving me more entangled in my own emotions. He's not just a distraction. He's a danger to the carefully constructed facade I've maintained for so long. As I lie there, the silence of the room feels overwhelming. I'm alone in a way I've never been before. It's not just the physical solitude, this I'm used to. It's the realization that I'm standing at the edge of an abyss, and the only person who might understand is the one person I can't fully trust. I close my eyes, hoping for some peace, but it's hard to find. My mind is a battlefield, my heart damaged. And as I drift into a restless sleep, I can't help but wonder if I'll ever find my way back to the woman I used to be, or if she's lost forever in this new world of shadows and doubt. In the sterile, white waiting room of the infirmary, I stand among the other trainees. The new rules of the Consortium have brought us here, to the moment where our worth in this world is reduced to a mere number, our personal rating score. My heart beats a staccato rhythm against my ribs, a rhythm of fear and anticipation. Clara is beside me, her eyes bright with what looks like excitement, or perhaps it's just blind faith in a system she sees as infallible. But my eyes are searching for someone else. I find Jack at the back, his posture relaxed, but I've learned to see beyond that. There's a storm brewing in the dark depths of his eyes. I wonder what score can define someone like him. The officer in charge begins calling out names, and one by one my peers step forward to receive their scores. Some faces light up with pride, others crumple in disappointment. When my name is called, my legs feel like they're made of lead as I walk towards the officer. The number he shows me makes my heart skip a beat. It's high, higher than I ever expected. A part of me soars with relief, but another part, the part that's been growing ever since I met Jack, recoils. It's a score based on a lie, a story I crafted carefully. The next phase is even more invasive, the ID tracking devices. They're small, almost innocuous, but the weight of what they represent is crushing. I watch as the device is implanted in each trainee's arm, seemingly harmless, but I know better. When my turn comes, the cold touch of metal against my skin sends a shiver down my spine. I'm no longer a person, just a score, a being constantly monitored, every action and movement scrutinized. The officer handling the device presses it against the top of my bicep. I feel a sharp sting as tiny needles pierce my skin, anchoring it firmly. It clings to me, the Consortium's leash. As I rub my fingers over the device, I can feel the faint vibrations of its inner workings. It's designed to track body composition, an invasion of my physical being. But my mind races with other possibilities. Could it also record sound, capture my conversations? I shiver at the thought. The device could be listening, always listening, turning my own body into a potential traitor. The room is filled with the quiet sounds as my fellow trainees receive their own devices. I steal a glance at Clara, who seems more curious than concerned. Her trust in the system is unshaken. But Jack, he's different. There's a resignation in the way he accepts the device, a subtle clenching of his jaw. He has received a decent score. He's playing the game, just like I am, but I sense his disdain for it, a disdain I'm beginning to understand. I can't shake this feeling of unease as I touch the device again. It's not just a tracker, it's a shackle, a silent spy ensuring my loyalty. Can I ever truly be myself with this on? The question lingers in my mind, unspoken but ever present. As we file out of the room, each step feels heavier than the last. I'm marked now, part of a system that I'm beginning to question. The device on my arm is a constant uncomfortable presence. It's a small piece of technology, but it holds so much power over us all.
Did this story captivate you? Help this book find its place in the vast world of literature. Share your thoughts. Leave a review on Goodreads. Your support means everything. Link in the description. For just the price of a coffee, you can dive into the full audiobook and support my journey as an author. Every contribution truly means the world to me and keeps this adventure alive. The link to the audiobook on Kobo is in the description of this video. Thank you so much for your support.